It's time to get ready for Super Bowl 52 with Dave's Cooking Show. Here's what you'll need to make this shit. Okay, to start this, you want to slice the ends off of the baguette and, of course, make it fit your baking sheet, however big that might be. And then you want to slice your baguette in half and generously butter the bread. Then, using a spoon, you want to spread around some of that pizza sauce. Now, you can, of course, make your own, or you can be lazy like me and just buy a jar of the fucking shit. And remember, before you put it in the oven, you're going to want some parchment paper on this so that your French bread pizza, baguette pizza, whatever you want to call it, doesn't stick to the pan. And you want to add some mini pepperonis. This is entirely up to you, but I usually add a pretty generous amount. And of course, last but not least, the cheese. You want to top this with some mozzarella cheese, and then you want to bake for 10 to 15 minutes in a preheated 400-degree oven. After that, cut them into portions, put them on a plate, and serve. Baguette pizza. Done. On to the next dish. All right, let's start off the cheeseburger wontons, the next dish on our Super Bowl spectacular. Okie dokie, 1 pound of 80/20 and 1 tablespoon of my all-purpose seasoning, and you want to give this a good mix. And then you want to brown the beef in a skillet. Okay, as you can see, our beef has been nicely browned through the magic of cooking show editing, and it's time to add some fixins. You want about 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Now, some people are going to wonder, where the fuck are my onions? Where's the pickles? Because these are cheeseburger wontons and they're going to be deep fried, I decided not to add them, but if you like, you can certainly add them. And then you want a little bit more than a tablespoon of mustard. Be careful when adding the mustard. It packs a much, much stronger flavor than does ketchup. And then after you get this in, you want to give this a good mix and, of course, taste it because, like most things in cooking, everything is to taste. Also, you want to make sure once this is mixed, you leave this on the counter until it's cooled down to damn near room temperature. Otherwise, when you add your cheese, it's going to be melted before you even put them in the wontons. So, again, once you've got this nice and mixed up, leave it on the counter and let it cool to pretty much damn near room temperature. Okie dokie, it is time to add the cheese. This is just American cheese that's been cubed up. And we got about 6 ounces in here. If you want to add more, you certainly can. You want to add a little bit less, you certainly can. Again, I went with about 6 ounces of an 8-ounce block. I didn't really measure it out or anything. But basically, you just want to cube it up and then give this a good mix. Set it aside, and we'll be ready for our wontons. Okay, so take a wonton wrapper, and you want to paintbrush some water on it. That's just plain old cool water, and paintbrush the entire thing to kind of get it moistened a little bit. All right, once your wrapper is all wet and moist, you want to spoon some of your cheeseburger mix in there and then do a horseshit job of sealing up these wontons. Hey, they're sealed, they just don't look pretty because, well, I'm not a frickin' Chinese chef. And you'll want to repeat this process until your cheeseburger mix is done. Basically, you'll be doing this a shit ton. Okay, this is the part where you got to be a little bit careful. What you want to do is get some oil heated to 350 degrees. Again, be careful because hot oil will fuck up your whole world. And you always want to make sure to leave a little bit of room in the vessel you're cooking and the top of the vessel you're cooking and the oil. And then you want to drop these things in for a couple of minutes. They're going to float up. Basically use a fork or a spoon or something. And you want to basically, kind of move them around a little bit so they get fried on all sides. Again, I just want to point out, be really careful. Make sure you don't have kids in the kitchen because, again, a pot of hot oil will fuck up everybody's world. And after a couple of minutes in the fryer, about 3 to 5, you should be left with something like this. And those are my cheeseburger wontons. Done. Perfect for the Super Bowl. And of all the things that I made for this special, this, I think, was my favorite. Okay, this recipe got a little fucked up because, I forgot the camera wasn't on. Anyway, you start this off by making a roux of about a tablespoon of butter to about a tablespoon of flour. If you want your cheese sauce a little thicker, add a little more butter and flour. Then you want about a cup of half and half into the pot, and then you want to add, by the handful, a cheese mix. I believe I used some mozzarella and pepper jack for this, but the cheese is really irrelevant to this. Use your favorite cheese. And there's no real recipe for this either, so please don't ask me for the recipe. This isn't exact amounts. Basically, you add in cheese a handful at a time until the sauce is to your desired thickness or your desired taste. So I basically added I added 2 6-ounce blocks of cheese. So I think I added about 3/4 of it. But basically, there's no real recipe. You just keep adding half and half and cheese until you get your desired consistency. I will say you do have to keep stirring this fairly frequently, just due to you don't want it to stir on the bottom. And then you want to add a generous amount of freshly ground sea salt and freshly ground black pepper. And then just keep it over a low heat so it doesn't solidify, and we're going to get on to the fries. Okay, with a fryer that has had some peanut oil heated up to 375 degrees, you want to add some fries and fry them till they're golden brown. I'm using relatively thicker fries for this. I think they're just regular French fries, actually. So they'll take about 3 to 4 minutes. But basically, you want to keep them in there till they're nice, golden brown, and crispy. Okay, when the fries are done, it's time to season them up. And for seasoning, it's pretty simple. A little bit of kosher salt, actually a lot of kosher salt, and freshly ground black pepper. I don't understand people that don't add pepper to their fries. Makes them delicious. And then basically just toss them in a bowl until everything is evenly coated. Okay, we are just about done with this. Basically, in a shallow, wide bowl or a plate or something, get a decent helping of fries. And you want to drizzle that lovely cheese sauce that we made. And yes, this isn't a healthy dish, but it's for the goddamn Super Bowl. You're not supposed to eat healthy on the fucking Super Bowl. So, drizzle a generous amount of cheese over them. And what's great about this is all the components can be made ahead of time, but you really shouldn't make this ahead of time right away, but it takes 5 minutes. Then you want to take some bacon bits, put that over the top, and some freshly made chives. And this is my ultimate bacon fries. Let's move on to the main event of this. Okay, let's start off our buffalo shells. What you want is 1 pound of ground chicken, and you want to fry this up. Also, you would like to get a box of jumbo shells in the water at some point. Fairly early on, because you want the shells to be cool enough to touch when you go to stuff them. Okay, and through the magic of cooking show editing, our chicken is done. Now, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of butter and let that melt up. Okay, and then we're going to add to that about a cup of buffalo sauce, and we're going to give this a good old-fashioned stir around right after I decide to move the hot plate out of the way. So you want to make sure this is nice, stir it around, everything's all nice and mixed up and well incorporated, and we'll be ready for the next step. Okay, in a mixing bowl, you want to put the chicken mix, and you want to add about 16 ounces of ricotta cheese. I know some places sell 15-ounce containers. That's fine. I think that's what I have here. Then you want to lock your mixer in place, and on a low speed, you want to blend everything till everything is well incorporated. And by this point, hopefully your shells have cooled. Okay, now we've got our cooled shells, and we're going to begin to stuff these shells with our buffalo chicken, whatever the fuck mix. So just, stuff them with a spoonful of the mix and put them down there. And I did decide to put these shells up because of the last step. Oh, and at this point, you should be preheating your oven to about 350 degrees. Okay. After you've got all your shells stuffed and put in a nice little roll, it is time to add a generous amount of cheddar cheese. Now, you don't have to use cheddar. You can certainly use a Colby Jack or a Pepper Jack or use whatever the fuck you want. And you want to cover them fairly well. And then this is optional, but because I like things a little bit spicier, we're going to add some more buffalo sauce and drizzle it over the top of our stuffed shells. And we're going to want to bake them for about 15-20 minutes or until the cheese reaches your desired level of doneness. All right, and through the magic of cooking show editing, our shells are done. And I will say it's important to let them rest, but no matter what you do, this is going to be one sloppy dish. So don't do this if you're wearing a shirt that you happen to give a shit about. And then you just want to spoon them out on the plate, just like so, and enjoy. And this has been the Super Bowl 52 special. Hopefully these dishes can make your Super Bowl party a hit. See everyone next time.